So I think when people hear me say that you never know what's going to come into Fluid Motor Union, they think I'm kind of stretching the truth or over exaggerating. Over the years, we've gotten a lot of exotics and classic cars, you know, some even really old antique cars. And we see our fair share of Lamborghinis. Even tractors. As you can imagine, a lot of our clients have various collections. A lot of the people we do work for have access to all sorts of things with engines. And this is one of those things. This is a Lamborghini 2R tractor, basically a little 3-cylinder, 2.1 liter engine. Makes about 40 horsepower. These were very popular in Italy. More so recently, they've been coming over to the States, pretty much for the sole reason of adding to people's collections with Lamborghinis. And people with collections of Lamborghinis obviously want to add a Lamborghini tractor to their lineup. So it would go without saying that eventually these would work our way into the shop. What we got going on with this one is we believe it was ran out of diesel, out of fuel, and it stopped running. My guess is, you know, these being mechanical fuel injection pumps, direct injection, that the thing sucked in a little bit of air, cavitated, and now we're dealing with some vapor lock inside of the lines. So what I'm going to attempt here, just going to do a bleed, make sure the fuel is purged through the lines, pushing out the air, and see if we can get this thing running again. Should hopefully be a pretty simple fix because I know this thing was running before. So these weren't designed as exotics to begin with. These were working man's tractors used to do farm work. When they painted these things and did the coatings and placement of the fasteners and ways to get at this stuff, it wasn't designed in a way that would work with a collectible antique. But so this whole engine cover just comes off. So these right here are the fuel lines I'm talking about. They go to injectors, one for each cylinder. These lines, I'm hoping that we're going to find some air in there, bleed out a little bit of fuel, and that in turn should get this thing running again if there isn't something else going on. So this thing has enamel paint on it. Not sure if it's original or if this thing was ever restored, but because it's all painted surfaces and it's no longer a working vehicle, well, a work vehicle, I should say. I've got to be careful with the surfaces, try to keep the diesel off the painted surfaces as much as I can. It's still going to be messy. It was intended to be messy, so there's really no getting around making a little bit of a mess, but nothing fancy here. It's just going to be some rags to catch the diesel that spills out when I purge the lines. Give it a crank over. I'm going to try to make the least possible mess. But unfortunately, this is how it was designed. And this is how we're going to have to work with it. I am also going to disconnect the battery before I crack these fuel lines, because anytime you've got fuel and a live battery and rags, you create a potential fire hazard. And you don't want to do something momentarily stupid and have it end up costing you more than you anticipated. Got a line wrench to kind of minimize the damage to the paint that could happen, but unfortunately some is a little unavoidable. So if you check it out here, should be able to see a little fuel leaking out. Got fuel coming from all three of those. The fuel didn't come out right away when I was cranking it over, so I'm guessing there was some fuel in there. Right now I'm going to get these hand tight, wipe the fuel away, and then crank them down, and then try to start it up. Not too tight, but not too loose. There's a diesel injection pump. All right, let's see if we can get this thing to fire. think it's gonna need a little more juice to kick it over. So this is progress. It wasn't even kicking over before, so we're at least getting it to crank. So cracking the lines and cranking it over didn't seem to really be moving enough fuel. It looked like just wasn't pushing enough air out and enough fuel out. My thoughts are this thing was ran really, really low. So we might even have to prime the lift pump. We might have to prime the filters. This little 3-cylinder looks to be using a Bosch mechanical injection system that was kind of common on a lot of Bosch automotive cars. And I won't say the exact pump, but it more or less looks very similar. Usually we're gonna have our lines coming out. We're gonna have a lift pump that takes the fuel from the tank. From there, it puts it into the filters, and then back from the filters, it goes into the lift pump. So we're gonna wanna make sure that's all primed. And basically, I don't really have any manuals on this thing. I'm kind of going off of the stuff I know. So I'm looking for bleeder screws, things that look like I could crack it open and get air out of there. Anywhere that's the top of the system, the highest lines, that's where you're gonna find air trapped in there. So right away, I've got these 2 filters here, the filter housings. You can see here and here, we got 2 screws. So already we got some fuel coming out of here. This guy though doesn't seem to be. Now the lift pump actually supplies fuel up to the filters. So what I want to look for now is the line going to there to make sure there's a, to make sure the valve's open, and then also make sure the lift pump can get it up there if I had to bleed out the lift pump. And then actually this thing has, it looks like it, this guy here, this is, I think, a hand pump. So I'm not 100% sure, but yep. So what this will do is, if I pump this out, yeah, check this out. So if I pump this motion, you'll see fluid coming out of there. That one appears to be pretty good. So let's try to force the air out over here. Okay. Now I may have to bleed this one more time. Let's see if that helped at all. Ooh, close. Close, close, close. Almost. Let's double check for leaks so we don't have anything leaking out. We could have recompressed an air pocket. We might have to do it one more time. Or I might be able to force it out. Just crank it over, see what happens. I think we're still dealing with air bubbles. Running it should get them out, but we might have to crack it one more time. I'm gonna see if I can keep it running one more time, and if not, I'm gonna do the procedure over again. That sounds better. So that's how you prime a pump that's been ran dry on a Lamborghini tractor. Well, that's all for today. Got this thing running and seems like it's humming along pretty good. If you guys are looking for any more content like this where we're fixing random vehicles and other old and new exotics, make sure you like and subscribe and stay tuned for more. Until next time.